What's up, Sooner fans? I hope you're having a terrific Tuesday as we are here back on the Sooner Surge to discuss all the latest and Sooner content. It's a little cooler here in Oklahoma. Got a reprieve from the heat. The heat wave's coming back next week, and you guys need to be a part as everything ramps back up into football season. Make sure you've clicked the subscribe button, you turn on your notifications, and you keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it. Here today, we're going to talk about really the state of OU with D-line recruits. Not really maybe the state with recruits in general specific, but just where OU heading to the SEC, where each one of these guys on Sooner Surge kind of feel how they feel about OU's defensive line moving forward. We know we lost the commitment of Williams Nwaneri yesterday, committed to the University of Missouri. So we'll just open this up, starting with Jay, of where you feel OU's at.
Hey, I think all these guys know in here where I feel it's at. And Jeremy, you talked about, I think in the other video the other day, about the culture at OU and BV not going to, go out of his way to whatever it be, pay certain players to come to run the locker room or whatever. And I agree with that statement. I agree with that philosophy from BV. The problem I have is I just think this year is so critical for recruiting, okay, going to the SEC. And you got so many guys that OU is, quote, in on and, quote, final good spot on, but are they getting him, okay? And that's this has been one guy, Nwaneri, that's fine. But we all know Stone, McKinley, Nigel Smith, Danny Okoye, there's a bunch still out there. My whole thing is if they don't land multiple of those guys, at least two, if they don't land at least two, I think it's kind of I'm just kind of thinking, I wouldn't say disappointing. Well, I guess I would say it's a disappointing on the defensive line because from what we've heard is that they were in on all these guys and it was looking good. So if they only land one of those, I think that's a problem if they only land one. I think you can have 4-star defensive linemen and compete. Can you win national championships without any 5-star defensive linemen? That's the question I would ask our viewers too. Can you win a national championship and an SEC championship with no 5-stars? What's your thoughts?
Well, they already have a 5-star right now on the defensive line.
From last year, they got PJ Adebawore. I'm mainly talking interior.
Okay. So, yeah, if we go off of, say they land 5 total, David Stone, Nigel Smith, Danny Okoye, Jaden Jackson, Wyatt Gilmore. That is
great class.
Yeah, and that's the third highest recruiting class on the defensive line for OU in program history in the modern recruiting era, only behind 2000 and I think it's 2005 and 2019. Both of those classes had 7 guys in it, so that's kind of the bump that they got in it. So obviously it would be a great class with David Stone in it. Danny Okoye is the number 1 player in Oklahoma. They're in a spot to land those guys right now.
Right, but in a spot, I think I know what Jay's saying. I mean, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we never go hungry is the old adage. But come on, until they land one, you have to question what's happening. Why aren't they able to land the big dogs in the middle?
Because they're not committing till August 26th. That's why. I mean, you're freaking out about them not being able to land the big dogs in the middle, but they've only missed out on one big dog in the middle.
I'm not freaking out, Brody. I'm not freaking out. What I'm saying is until they land one,
you may not be questioning
it.
You may not be freaking out, but someone else on here is freaking out saying Oklahoma's going to be the next Nebraska. All right?
Hey,
now, that's a little bit crazy to me.
Brody, I know you're talking about me.
I am.
And I know that. And listen, all I'm saying is if McKinley ends up going to Texas, your rival and in the SEC, okay, if Okoye picks Texas or Tennessee, now if Stone picks Miami, I'm just saying if, then what are you saying?
McKinley is not one that Oklahoma, you have to land McKinley. He's a dude out of Louisiana. If you land McKinley, that's oh my gosh, what a land. If you don't land him, you're never supposed to land Don McKinley. But with David Stone, I agree with your point. Oklahoma is supposed to land David Stone. If you miss David Stone, there is a ton of questioning that needs to be had.
Brody,
and that would be
thank
terrible.
you.
But
If-
they were not ever supposed to land Dominic McKinley.
let me ask you this. If they don't land, I'm throwing this out there as an if.
I know.
If they were not to land any of those guys, this class, do you feel comfortable with the defensive line going to the SEC? Or are they going to be middle of the pack SEC defense if that's the case?
I don't know. Recruiting is not like the high school recruiting is not the only way you can get studs on the defensive line.
I get that, but then you're taking portal guys who have left another school. Brody, I'm trying to throw a question out there.
I agree with what you're saying because yes, I would not feel anywhere near as good as if they, bring in David Stone, bring in Nigel Smith, bring in Danny Okoye, just like how Hunter talked about. That would be the third best. I think you said in the modern recruiting era for Oklahoma on the defensive line.
Hey, I got to go back to something Brody said, and I know Hunter was nodding his head that I absolutely 100% disagree with. Viewers, you can comment your opinion on this, but just because a guy's in Louisiana doesn't mean OU shouldn't land him. That's the most hogwash thing I've ever heard in my life.
Hear me.
What?
How
Let
many
me finish.
five-star defensive linemen come out of Louisiana?
What?
Like how many leave the state of Louisiana?
What?
Any five-star defensive lineman from the state of Louisiana is LSU's until they aren't.
Okay, so
Yeah,
McKinley's
okay.
going to LSU. Good to know. I don't
He's
think
going to
he is.
LSU until he isn't.
And,
Okay,
and
Brody.
OU recruits national. Not
Mhm.
and by the way, Winery was pretty much in the backyard. You can't say a guy's in Louisiana, you're not going to land him. We're OU
That's not what
here.
I'm saying.
This is
I didn't say
OU.
they're not gonna land him. I said they're not supposed to land them.
Why
Yeah,
So
are they
who's
LSU
supposed to land
another-
Okoye and Stone then?
OU.
OU, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll see if it happens. I hope it does.
Do you think they will land David Stone right now on August 15th?
Brody, I'm done as an OU fan saying if they're going to land anybody until it happens. I just don't play that game anymore. And you know why? Because nobody knows. You don't know. Nobody knows. And you know why? Because he could say he's going to commit, and the day before a school, let me just point it to you, Missouri dropped a lot more money than OU probably. And they got him, correct?
Yep.
So what's to say somebody can't do the same thing to another player?
I'd say a lot of it with David Stone also depends on his parents. I mean, because that was a big factor in the Winery recruitment.
I get it, but at some point, I think, and I think OU's going to have to land a couple of these guys for it to be like where fans are not a little bit cautious.
No, I agree. I think every fan should be cautious if Oklahoma goes out and swings and misses on David Stone. I agree with you. If they lose David Stone, that is when I will really sit here and be cautious about it.
So you're putting it all on David Stone, one commit.
I'm not putting it all on David Stone. I mean, how many times on this podcast, you can go way back, have you said David Stone is the one they have to land?
I
He's
agree.
in the middle.
I
He's
agree,
from
Brody.
Oklahoma. You got to land him.
I agree, but I'm also looking at Texas, okay? Texas just got a commitment from Colin Simmons, okay? If they end up with McKinley, okay, then I'm just saying, if Texas can get him, why can't OU?
You can get him. That's why OU's.
I hope they do.
But they're not
that's what I'm
supposed to.
hoping.
It'd be a steal. It'd be a steal if OU gets in.
Texas isn't supposed to land Dominic McKinley right now. Nobody right now is supposed to land Dominic McKinley.
Yeah.
I'm saying no one is a clear favorite for Dominic McKinley. Whereas with David Stone, you can look at him and say, okay, Oklahoma is supposed to land him. That's not the
I
case.
agree.
For
I agree they're supposed to land him. I agree.
And I still think Danny Okoye is maybe, if Stone is the biggest guy you got to get, Okoye is not far off in my opinion because of his upside. But
Yeah, he's got tons of upside. And on top of that, I mean, you can make the upside case with Nigel Smith. He's just, similarly rated to Okoye. But the difference is that Okoye is in state. So you got to keep, best player in the state in the state.
But hasn't everyone felt like so strong about Nigel Smith being a Sooner?
Nigel Smith, I would be shocked if he doesn't commit to Oklahoma on the second.
Yeah, he shut down his recruitment completely.
So did Winery 2 weeks ago. He knew it was Missouri 2 weeks ago.
Winery didn't shut down his recruitment.
Hey, he committed to
That is
Missouri
so-
basically 2 weeks ago.
So you're going to believe any quote out there on the internet?
You're believing in the
Apparently
other
you
way.
do.
You're believing it the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
mean,
call
you
it a
believe everything
shutdown.
you read.
Even if he
might have-
listen, he
he
might
might
have
have just
he might have committed to Missouri 2 weeks ago. That don't mean he's shut down his recruitment.
Yeah.
Peyton
Well,
Bowen was
Nigel
committed
Smith
to
didn't
Notre
shut down.
Dame. His recruitment was not shut down.
So nobody's knocking on Nigel Smith's door right now?
I don't know. He flat out
Okay,
said
exactly.
he's not.
Nobody knows.
No, listen, Jay. He flat out said he is not talking to anybody, no media,
I-
nothing, shutting it down completely a month before the decision. With Williams Nwaneri, he might have made the decision 2 weeks beforehand, like what he told On3, but he didn't shut down his recruitment. He was still in talks with all the schools involved with him.
Yeah,
Hey.
I mean, I just think with the day of NIL packages, with the day of social media, I'm not sure that the information that a lot of times is out there is, first off, not just 100% accurate. Obviously, it's not, but it's also the fact that the relationship aspect, unfortunately, seems to be losing ground and traction as to the main Brody, I see you shaking the head. As to the main reason some of these 5 stars don't go. See, when I finish, yeah, it matters. Words matter. Okay. Words absolutely matter. Some of them go there for the money.
Some do, some don't.
Hey,
Last year, Atabore, not because of the money.
Hey,
That's a
Jeremy,
relationship thing.
me and you both
Solid
have kids.
family. Solid
Hey,
family.
Jeremy, me and you both have kids. I can't sit here and say that if my kid was a 5-star recruit, I wouldn't be listening to all the money offers. I absolutely would. Okay, and I think a lot of OU fans, and this may be totally off, and these viewers may just come at me with this, but I think OU fans, a lot of them, crimson-colored glasses, think OU will pay whatever they want for anybody they can get. And you know why? I think there are a lot of fan bases and a lot of other people out there laughing at OU saying they think they can get everybody.
You've came to me with this, all the other fan bases laughing at OU. Answer this question. Name me a college football fan base that likes OU.
There's most college fan bases don't like other teams. I'm not saying that.
Oklahoma is one of the most, like, among all college football teams, one of the most hated teams. Like, it's Oklahoma versus the world. That's literally, like,
That's everywhere.
yeah, you're acting like people are going to just be not hating on Oklahoma.
No,
Well,
I'm comparing it to how a lot of people laugh at Texas A&M because they think they're national champions.
You're
every
comparing
year.
OU to Texas A&M now? That's
No.
where we're at? I mean, you already made the Nebraska comparison, but A&M now?
Hey,
Brody, do you think if OU doesn't get 4 or 5-star defensive linemen in the middle, they're going to win a national championship? Yes
No.
or no? No. So is that
I
not
think they're going to
comparing?
get David Stone.
Where would they be in the SEC without any if they don't start recruiting better on the defensive line?
Oh my
Where will
God.
they be?
They would
Where will
Alabama
they finish? I'm
if they
asking
didn't have Nick Saban. Like,
Brody. Where will they finish if they
where
don't
would
start
Georgia
playing?
be without Kirby Smart?
Hey,
it's not a coach thing. It's a player thing, Brody.
Hunter and Brody.
Really?
Hey,
God, that's the most asinine statement I've ever heard.
Where would TCU have been last year without Max Duggan?
Hey, I just want
Yeah,
both of y'all
quarterbacks
to
matter.
answer the question I'm asking. Where will they be if they don't start recruiting better on the defensive line in the SEC? Where would they rank?
I think they're already recruiting great on the defensive line. Or good. I'd say good.
Okay, I can see them if it goes the way it is. I can see them finishing about maybe South Carolina-ish comparable.
I would say like kind of averaging between like 9 and 11 wins a year. Kind of the teams that fluctuate will have a really good year, then kind of dip down to like 8 or 9 wins.
Hey, and I'm not
You
all
can,
Debbie
Jay,
Downer.
you
I'm
can
not all
win.
Debbie Downer.
You can win with 3 stars and you can win with 4 stars. They've done it before. It's just what you're saying, and I agree with is you got to land some of the big dogs sometimes. And Hunter's talked about it. I've talked about it. You got to preach future draft picks, the future money. Unfortunately, some of these guys don't care to hear about future because they want what's now. But the big money comes in the end when you get drafted in the first round. Okay, that's got to be
but
preached.
nobody can.
Hopefully that translates. But the last thing I'll say, because I know we're about to end this, but you got to win ball games too. The more that OU wins and starts improving on defense, they're going to land more of the big dogs.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on saying you have to land David Stone. You have to land that 5-star in the middle. I completely agree. I'm not like against that. That you have to land David Stone.
Well, Jeremy, you're right. You have to win games, and I think the most important thing, you have to be better on defense for people to think you're going to be a good defensive team. Because the fact of the matter is they haven't been good on defense in 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, Danny Okoye talked about that and then realized that it's not this staff, it's not this program's fault for.
I
not
agree,
being
but
good on
this year
defense.
is coming
Okay,
up.
yeah.
It's
I
got
guess
to
you
be
could say
loads
that.
better than
Yeah.
last year, right?
Yeah, and it should be. It should be.
It-
It should be a gigantic leap compared
agree.
to what it was last year.
I agree. And the last thing I'm going to say, and then y'all can close or whatever, is nobody can bash these kids for taking the money. It's offered to them. They're paid. They're offered to go to whichever school they want. Hunter, you're at OU now. And you're not playing athletics, but if another school offered you a full ride and extra money, you would consider it, would you not?
No.
Oh,
That's because he's passionate about OU, and those are the guys
And-
you want.
that's true.
and
You couldn't get the
because
players that are passionate
The
about
program at OU, like for sports journalism, is in my mind
Well,
the best
that's
in the
true.
country. Like
That's
Yeah.
true.
that's
So
the
I
other
think
thing. Like,
that's
No
a
one
great.
should bash kids, but sometimes it's not the kids making the
No, it's the
money
parents.
decisions.
Yeah, it's the parents, and that's a great way to end this. I mean, Hunter talked about the program. There's guys that are going to come here for the program, that they're going to come here because they want to be here. You want those. You also want the guys who maybe are persuaded by parents, but OU's got to. The fact of the matter is, OU's got to land some of these big dogs that they haven't been able to land. I hope the tide turns on the 26th. I hope that's the turning point for the Sooners as far as interior D linemen. I want you guys to drop your comments about just defensive line recruiting, interior linemen, state of NIL, all these things that we cover here today. Until next time, Boomer.
Boomer.